We've been waiting for many months, but now he's finally here.
This man shouldn't be anywhere near the starting 11.
He hasn't looked like the same player he was last season.
He is the priority signing of the winter window. What's up, coolers, and welcome back to Barça Dream Team. And we're back again, back to discuss the latest Barça news, including Xavi's huge tactical change, Felix being dropped from the starting 11, the debut of Vitor Roque and Aleix Garcia. We're discussing it all here today, and we've got a lot to cover in today's video, guys, so let's get started.
But first of all, Happy New Year to all coolers. Hopefully 2024 can bring us all more joy after what's been really poor performances towards the latter stages of last year. We've got a decent run of fixtures in January, so let's hope 2024 can be the start of a turnaround in our season. But is that a reasonable expectation? Is it possible for us to turn it around? Well, Xavi's tactical change could be a possible solution, but more on that later. Because first of all, there can be no greater gift for us at the start of the year than the arrival of Vitor Roque. We finally got our man. He's met up with his teammates and took part in his first training session. He's come in and he's kissing the badge, and he's been really encouraging in his interviews. He sounds like a really humble guy, and I can't wait for him to get going. And from the early pictures and videos we've seen of him, it looks as though there's a real sense of excitement amongst the players now that he's come in. We've been waiting for many months, but now he's finally here, and reports are suggesting that he's already started impressing in training. And that's going to add some much needed pressure on Robert Lewandowski. We've seen Lewandowski's response to the arrival of Tigrinho. He's been in the gym, at the training ground, putting in the work, putting in the effort, even on days off, to turn his season around. Apparently the club have told him that he has to fight for his place now. Such is the impact of Vitor Roque's arrival. But I'm happy to see the reports that Xavi hasn't lost faith in Marc Guiu. He'll still get minutes in the first team, and that's great to hear.
But reports suggest that João Félix could see his minutes reduced now that Tigrinho is here. And that's genuinely been a surprise to me, because since he's arrived, I think João Félix has been one of our best players, full stop. I love how he keeps the attack flowing. He doesn't like to slow the game down to walking pace. He likes to keep the tempo, and he takes the responsibility to make things happen. The guy creates goal-scoring opportunities from nothing. Despite that, we're hearing of a possible switch back to a four-man midfield system, which would see Felix benched, with numerous reports suggesting he won't start against Las Palmas.
And the reason for that is because Xavi's been unconvinced by his recent performances. I remember seeing Félix hooked at half-time against Almeria and then start a few days later against Club America. That was one of his worst games. He kind of ghosted through the first half of that one. But I think he's someone who can have quiet spells in a match, but then 5 minutes later, he can suddenly switch on and every attack goes through him. And that's why I'm not entirely sure that it's a sporting reason behind João Félix being frozen out, because I think generally the whole team hasn't performed well, and I think there are other areas to change before piling all the blame on João Félix. I mean, the attack in general hasn't been great. Lewandowski in particular, he's had a poor season, but he just started doing well again before the Christmas break. Even though he had many poor performances, Xavi couldn't bring himself to bench him and try something new.
So with João Félix out and a rumoured four-man midfield, it's looking like Tigrinho comes straight into the starting 11. Obviously, he'll need a couple of games to gain match fitness, but it looks like he'll pretty much walk straight into the team. And with Xavi against benching Lewandowski, I think we could see a four-man midfield with two centre-forwards just ahead, Vitor Roque and Lewandowski. But I don't think that's the best move for Xavi. I wonder what that means for Rafinha, who's looked really creative in the final third this season. He's been one of our most exciting players. You could still say he's lacked consistency, but when he has had a good game, he can be very dangerous. And he was the only Barca player to register double digits for goals and assists in 2023, so I'm not sure he's the man we should take out the team. And don't forget Ferran either. He looked great in pre-season and whilst Lewandowski was injured, but since then he's been making appearances off the bench. And another problem I have with the four in midfield is that it requires 4 midfielders. Looking at our squad and who is fit and available, I genuinely don't see 4 world-class midfielders, because as we know, Xavi is out for the season and Pedri's injury looks worse than it was first reported. He'll definitely miss Las Palmas. Beyond that, we do have De Jong, Gundogan and Fermin, but we're still short on the 4 midfielders. Does that mean we'll be seeing Oriol Romeu? This man shouldn't be anywhere near the starting 11. Or Xavi could go with Sergi Roberto. So you can see that the options are limited, and because of that I don't see Xavi starting 4 out of the 5 midfielders we have every single game, because the last thing we need is another injury in midfield. And that's where Aleix Garcia comes in. If we were to get him, that would be a real statement by Xavi that he's pushing for the 4 in midfield system. And it looks as though that's exactly what the club are trying to do. After missing out on Claudio Echeverri, we're pushing for Garcia to join the club. He is the priority signing of the winter window, and with a reported €12 million release clause, plus the option to offer a combination of Oriol Romeu, Eric Garcia, Pablo Torre plus cash, that feels achievable. And with the will of the player, La Liga lightening FFP rules and the extra salary budget since Xavi's injury, it feels that this deal is inevitable.
Taking a step back into defence now, and can we expect improvement in 2024? Well, as we always say, Araujo's our best defender. He's the most consistent, but unfortunately, as we've mentioned before, the other defenders haven't been at the same standard. Xavi's pushing for Inigo Martinez to return from injury. It seems as though he's the preferred left centre-back, and with Araujo locked in at right centre-back, it seems as though Koundé's future this season is at right-back, and Christensen has been relegated to the bench. That's a real shame. Balde has failed to convince Xavi. He hasn't looked like the same player he was last season. So Cancelo looks to be the favoured left-back for Xavi right now. So I think that by the end of the winter transfer window, this is what we could be seeing. This could potentially be Xavi's preferred lineup. Fingers crossed Ter Stegen can make his return, but that could be pushed back into mid-February, so Iñaki could be in between the sticks. I think the rest of the team looks good, but I'm not comfortable with the likes of João Félix, Lamine Yamal, Ferran, Rafinha, Fermin, Christensen and Balde all being bench players.
It looks as though this is the route Xavi wants to take the team in. I think that some of the performances last year were unacceptable, so I was expecting changes, but this feels like a drastic change, maybe even too much change. But let us know your thoughts down below. What do you think of Vitor Roque? His presentation looks to be scheduled for Wednesday, and could we see his debut against Las Palmas? I'm expecting a minimum of 10 to 15 minutes. Fingers crossed there. And what do you make of the João Félix situation? I'm really worried by this because I think it could be a sign of what lies ahead for João Félix. We're hearing reports that we want to loan him again next season, but this time Atletico want a loan fee. I wonder if Laporta's told Xavi, look, we won't be able to keep Félix beyond the end of the season. I think that would explain why he's being frozen out, although I really hope we can keep him and make the signing permanent. Whether Félix is benched against Las Palmas will tell us a lot. Keep an eye on that one.
So if you like this video, guys, and you want to stay up to date with Xavi's Barça Dream Team, make sure to hit that notification bell. Subscribe to BDT, and we'll see you next time. Visca Barça!